Welcome to our September webinar. Holiday planning starts now. Actually, it probably started a few weeks ago, but this is our way of saying if you haven't done anything yet, there's a lot of time and there's a lot of opportunity to help you drive incremental holiday sales. To help us through most of this today, my pal, Curtis, is going to take us through. He's going to dive deep. I'll provide color commentary and ask a few questions along the way, and then we'll be happy to answer your questions as we reach the tail end of the webinar. So if you've got questions, throw them in the Q&A box. We will get to as many as we can. And if we can't get to them, maybe we send out an email later with some answers. Depends how many questions we get. Let's see where we get to between here and there. Are you ready, Mr. Curtis?
I am, sir.
Let's do this.
All right. So like Steve said, thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk about holiday planning starting today. If you're waiting, it's too late. And if you were lucky enough or unlucky enough to catch my post on LinkedIn, like Ricky Bobby says, if you're not first, you're last. So we're going to jump into this. We want to stay ahead of our goals with all of this. A little bit about BFO here. Steve and I will be your Calvin and Hobbes today. At BFO, we believe in empowering each other to do great things. We're an international team of digital marketers. We have offices primarily based in Chicago, but we have teams overseas in the London area as well as Belize. And let's not forget our Singapore office. We do tend to be laid back and want to have fun and do things, but we are deeply invested in the results for your accounts, as well as making sure we're staying ahead of trends and the latest and greatest tools and toys out there. We work hard to be a good partner, a good employer, and a good corporate citizen. We want to elevate the world one click at a time. Did I miss anything, Steve?
I don't think so, Curtis. You nailed it. That was a really, really nice elevator pitch.
Thank you. All right, so today, quick agenda. We're going to go over our goals for you. We're going to talk about tips for success. Going to do a quick recap, and we're going to do some Q&A. So, goals. We want to make your job easier. Doesn't matter if it's this webinar. Doesn't matter if we're running SEO or paid media for you. Our job is to make your job easier. With this, we want to drive better targeted traffic. There is nothing worse than wasting a ton of clicks and a ton of budget on people who aren't going to buy your product. We want to increase those holiday sales. That's why you're here. We want to leave you more educated, and we want to make your boss happy. Goes back to number one. Your boss is happy with you. We've made your job easier. We don't want to be a pain.
You get that holiday bonus. Sell more stuff.
Yes. So to start with your customer insights. You know your customer better than anyone else. The insights could be age, gender, education, household income, parental status, job title, industry, excuse me, interests and hobbies, and then your competitors. Who are you trying to reach? Who are they? What are they searching for? And how can you help? All of these things should be easily available. You have them in Google Analytics. You have them in your CRM. Excuse me. If you don't know them, they're in Google Ads. Go in, click into the demographic information and look at it. Figure out who's engaging, who's purchasing, and use those insights to build better campaigns.
And if nothing else resonates with you today, it's go into Google Ads and mess around and test some stuff. You can find a lot of opportunity just by looking at some things and trying some new things out. You don't have to run them for very long all the time. You can just see how it might impact your campaign or your traffic.
Thank you. Know your timelines. You should have a content calendar, and from that, you should be developing a marketing calendar. And lastly, a shipping calendar. Our friends at Logistic have put this together. They do it every year for their customers, and it shows you the shipping deadlines for delivery by Christmas. FedEx, UPS, and USPS all have different times, but primarily, this is going to walk you through how soon do I need to ship something to get it there in time for Christmas? What's the last day before Christmas? What are the major holidays that the big shippers are going to be closed? We can send this out afterwards. It's right here in a hyperlink, so you'll be able to access this. But yeah, this is something that gets overlooked time and time again. And something that Kyle and I were talking about earlier on is you can use this to update your ad copy. You can use this to call out last day to ship or last day to purchase is, let's see here. All right, so December 18th, last day for USPS priority mail to get it in time for Christmas. So put that in your ad. Last day to buy is today. making sure that you're not leaving your customers unhappy with you.
Yep. Get it by Christmas. Order by midnight. Get it by Christmas. Things like that. Compelling messages, time-based messages go a long way, especially as you're getting closer and closer to the holiday. You can use it. Black Friday is an interesting one too, but you don't have the shipping challenges during Black Friday, but you can still use time-based messages just to make sure your offers stand out.
Yep, absolutely. Which kind of goes into the next slide, auditing and tuning up your site. You may have heard me say this before, but a page on your site does not equal a landing page. You want keywords to match ad copy to match your landing page. With it, less is more. We're trying to get people to purchase right now. You don't need to give them the history of your company on a shoe page. You don't need to give them the history of Nike on a Nike page. They know who Nike is. They just want to buy the sneakers. So cut it down, make it easier to get them down the path to purchase. I kind of skipped over this one. Visually and mentally appealing. Customers want it laid out in front of them. If there's a cost for shipping, if you're one of those sites that you have to sign up and you can't purchase as a guest, call those things out early on, because our brains, we see where we need to go. We think we know what needs to happen. You throw a roadblock in there, we're less likely to purchase. Getting technical, look at Google Search Console, see what it says, see if you're doing everything you should be. Check your core web vitals. If you have a lot of bounce rates or your average time on site is 4 seconds, you're sending them to the wrong pages. So look at the pages that do see success, that do see sales, and use those to your advantage. And then look for keyword opportunities. This is something that a lot of folks overlook. Are you advertising? Are you using the terms that are on your site? Or are you sticking to things like sneakers? What are things listed as? It doesn't cost you money to build out keywords. You only get charged when someone clicks on an ad. So there's no reason you can't be present on terms to see if you're getting any traction or any volume from those.
And if you're not comfortable, if paid media is your job and you don't have an SEO team that uses Search Console and understands Core Web Vitals, knock on the door of your good friends at BFO. We're happy to have a conversation about it. You can check our website for some materials on Core Web Vitals, and there's even some stuff on Search Console. But again, with Curtis's point about finding opportunities there, if site performance is horrible and you're driving paid traffic to a landing page and the page takes a long time to load, you're going to get demerits for it. We want your site to perform as well as it can. So take a look at that. The other thing, when we talk about overlooked keyword opportunities, it's that place where Google's telling you what people search for. They don't tell you what you're ranked for. They just tell you what you show up as. And if you can move those over to your paid media campaigns too, and even expand on those terms, you're going to get some free keywords out of the deal.
Thank you, Steve. So going on to that, keyword should match the copy, should match your landing page. Look at your keywords, look at the queries that are showing user interest. This is distilled down from what we used last year. So simply put, if you're Zappos and someone is searching for men's shoes, you're going to have sneakers, you might have boots on there, running shoes, Vans, so on and so forth. That's a general term. But if someone is searching for a New Balance Fresh Foam, land them on that page. So think of it like categories versus specific items, or even categories versus subcategories. So if it's gifts for kids, more general page. If it's newborn toys or walker toys, land them there, which goes right into our next couple slides. A lot of you have tons of products, and you have products that are stretched across multiple categories. So what you can do is create gift guide pages for this. It makes it easier to shop and find, so therefore it's easier for them to make a purchase. You can group your products from different categories. So in this case, we've got Target on the left, which God knows my family spends enough money there. So they have 0 to 24, they have 2 to 4, they have 5 to 7, so on and so forth. And from these, you're going to see a lot of different things. So the age 11 to 13 there, you've got a camera, you've got a scooter, you've got an RC car. So those would all really be in different categories, but Target knows that these are for this age group. So boom, they're going to drop it there. So it makes it easier for you to shop. Uncommon Goods is another great site here. I was searching by interest, and they have music gifts. So gifts from musicians, things like that. It's all segmented out, makes it super easy to do, which is really cool because you might have someone who's into cooking, but they're also into music. So boom, you have the turntable cheese board, which is a great idea because perhaps you're not going to search for your son who likes music, based on kitchen, but you do know he likes cooking. So it's a great example here. You should always, when you're setting these up, allow users to segment by age, gender, and price, because I'm not going to name the client, but big box hardware store, they were great at setting up gift pages by price, because if you're doing a Secret Santa in the office, you might have a smaller budget than, say, for your parents or your kids. So it's another great way of letting people search within their comfort zones and get them further down that path to purchase.
Curtis, let me back up and ask you a question in terms of the gift guide and traffic. What do your ads feel like, and what sort of keywords are you targeting when you're thinking about sending people to a gift guide page with paid media?
That's a great question, Steve. So I'm going to go to the age 11 to 13 thing, because that's where one of my kids falls in. So that's going to be, gifts for an 11-year-old girl or gifts for a tween girl. Land them on that page versus girls camera. I'm not going to land them on 11 to 13. I'm going to land them on the camera page. So it's just, looking at it from a perspective of more general term versus specific term. All right. So why are people leaving your site?
Because it sucks.
Yes. We talked about bounce rates, but one of the number one reasons people leave is because of high shipping costs. So cart abandonment, I'm gone. I was going to purchase a hat the other day. The hat cost $25. The shipping on it was $14. No, I'm not going to waste my time on that. So how do you lower your shipping costs? This is a plug that is completely free. We were not sponsored to do this by our friends at Logistic. With them, you can save up to 47% on UPS, FedEx, and DHL cost. Their slogan, try it for free forever. There's no strings attached. You don't need to put a credit card on it. It's not a free trial. You create an account, you connect your FedEx, UPS, or DHL account, and they audit and identify errors to show you where you can save. So it might be you're paying for overnight air and half of this stuff was going to get there overnight anyways, or you paid for overnight air and half of them didn't get there overnight. So UPS and FedEx owe you money back. It is completely free. There are no strings attached. This is their site. It's logistic.com. You can go there, you can find that shipping calendar, you can create your free account and get them auditing your account. You can look at different ways that they can save. And this is a big thing right now for e-commerce, is with costs going up around the world, shipping costs are going up, and a lot of folks are less likely to buy from online sites.
Unless they offer free shipping or discounted shipping.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. So one other thing that you can do and try, you're gonna have to test this, is that some people will increase their prices so that they can offer free shipping, but then you're going to have to figure out what your average shipping cost is and make sure you're not losing any money. And take a look at that, because it might be an option. You could raise your prices 10% across the board, or raise prices on big ticket items to cover free shipping in other places. There are ways to get creative to be able to do this. And again, look at Logistic too, because they can save you money. And you should be looking to save money and make money in any way you can, at the same time satisfying your customers' needs with their desire to say, hey, I don't want to pay a fortune for shipping.
Thank you. This kind of goes into what Steve was just talking about, like your thresholds. So with your ad copy, you want to break through the noise. So the biggest thing is an A/B test. So test 50% off versus buy one, get one free. We have a client, or had a client in the past. They sold things in quantities of 4. So a great example for them would be to test 50% off when you buy 2, or buy one, get one free, because it's literally the same thing, but it's that mental, what resonates better for the user? How am I going to get there? What Steve was talking about with all or free shipping on everything. If you're an account that your threshold is everything over $50 ships free, but you don't sell anything cheaper than $50, put it on your site. All orders ship free. The end consumer excuse me, isn't going to know that from that initial glance. So there's no reason you can't do that. You want to add value adds. So free shipping, if you have exclusive items, if there's a guarantee or warranty on your services, maximize your available characters. We see this far too often where, if someone has 90 characters to use, they write 60 and they stop. That's money left on the table. Absolutely use it. With Google's new search ads, expanded text ads have gone away. You test 5+ headlines. Don't just do 2. Don't do the bare minimum. Test 5. use all 4 descriptions. It can be a little daunting when you're trying to create 4 unique things. They don't always have to apply to that specific category. If it's a brand statement, if it's how great you are, drop that in the copy. Use that as your evergreen so it's always active across the board. Um, you want to speak to your audience, use you and your. Nike does a great example of this in this ad. So shoes for all your young athletes. So they're speaking to you. It's not young athletes, it's your young athletes. It's that emotional trigger. It's the fear of missing out. Nike, again, great example of how you should be promoting your ads. They talk about shoes for the young athletes. They're durable, they're comfortable. It's telling you everything you want to know about them, but they're not beating you over the head with buy now, do this today. They know their brand. They know that they don't have to waste, their revenue, or sorry, their ad copy there. Other examples, PacSun is a great one here. They're calling out fall clearance up to 70% off. You can't really see what they're saying, but it says get yours. So they're your shoes. This is what they want to do. Zappos doing another great example, free shipping on all orders. Thank you for that, Zappos. And then Kizik, they're a new contender here. I didn't know anything about them when I was doing this initial search. They are cramming their brand name in there so you get familiarity with it. They really don't talk a whole lot about what they are, but it tells me they're kids or hands-free kids shoes. Free shipping to US and hassle-free US returns. So they've told me everything I need to know about them to kind of tease it out there and give them a chance. Anything I missed here, Steve, before we jump into the next slide on ads?
No, it's actually pretty funny. I was looking at the Zappos and I'm looking at the description line, huge selection of kids shoes, free and easy returns. I'm like, where is free shipping on all orders? And I found myself looking around like, oh yeah, that's in the headline. And that does make a lot of sense. They don't talk necessarily to you and your and those trigger keywords, but they do a really nice job in that ad anyway. So it's a good example of how you can balance the equation in the ads.
Thank you. So talking ad extensions here, lots of different options here. Call extensions, it's a clickable link so they can immediately call your location. Site links, they allow you to show additional products and services. So in the example of Zappos here, we've got sale up to 40% off. We've got a kids sale. Then looking at Nike and even PacSun, everything in blue. So on Nike, kids shoes, kids sale, so on and so forth. PacSun, get $5 off right now, 2022 fall collection. Those are links that will take you to additional pages on the site. So instead of just dropping us on shop fall kid styles for PacSun, we can see what get $5 off right now is about. By clicking that, it takes us to a different page on the site. The big thing with any of these extensions, they push your competitors down the SERP page. They take up more real estate, as we put it. You can use location extensions in Google My Business, so provide address and directions. Call out extensions are super easy to do. They're value adds. They're non-clickable links, but if you have free shipping on $50, you can include these things in your copy to just add more weight to it and add more relevance. Structured snippets, they are structured like it's called out in the name. You go into Google, you select structured snippets, and it's brands, it's services, it's types. So brands, that one's pretty simple, but services, if you're an oil change place, oil change, tire rotation, battery charging, so on and so forth. Price extensions and promo extensions. These are both kind of new here. Price extensions are great. It's pricing for specific products, and they serve on all of your ads, no matter what. So we have a client, they are in the pet sector. So what they can do is if they're promoting, say, one brand of dog food this month, they can make sure that that dog food brand that is on sale with a price serves on every ad they're running. Even if someone is searching for cat food or goldfish toys probably don't exist. Bad example there. Sorry. So you get the picture. And then promo extensions. These are used to showcase your promotions. PacSun's got one at the bottom, fall sale up to 70% off site-wide. We love promo extensions because we don't have to write promos in the ad copy. Therefore, we can use your ad copy to talk about your value beyond the promotion. We're not wasting our time repeating the same thing over and over. So put that promo extension across the boards and then use your ad copy in better ways to tell people, hey, this is why you should shop with us and not someone else.
Curtis, I've got a little bit of a two-part question here because I can see this applying to retailers who have multiple locations. I can also see a lot of this applying to e-commerce only folks. If you had to rank those in terms of top 3 of these extensions to use for retail and e-commerce, how would you do that?
Definitely promo. Almost everyone who's doing e-com is going to have holiday promotions, so there's no reason you shouldn't run those. I would start there. I like call outs. They're easy to do. You can test, I think, up to 20 of them at this point. It's just really helpful because if someone is searching on a broader term, say shoes, you can call out sneakers, flip-flops, boots, so on and so forth. And then site links. This kind of goes back to your knowing your customer insights. So, you could do 4 across the board on every campaign, or if you know that people who are searching for kids shoes also might be looking for kids gifts or kids apparel, you can pair those together. Or again, general terms. So if someone is searching for apparel, snow pants, snow boots, rain
Mhm.
slickers, whatever the case is, makes it really easy to stay present and let folks know that, hey, we do have these other services or products that you might not be aware of just by your initial search.
Thank you.
And a site link that you should all be running if you're e-commerce, drive them to your sale page. If it's kids sale and they're shopping kids categories, absolutely do that. But if you have a general sale or clearance page, there's no reason you shouldn't be running that one all the time.
Awesome. Thanks, Curtis.
You're welcome. So audience targeting and bidding. We talked about demographics. That one's easy. If you sell kids products, get those toggles in there so you can target parents versus not parents. Or the other one is unknown. Google has that, I think, on every single demographic or modifier. There's that unknown. Be cautious about omitting unknown. A lot of the time, it does incredibly well. The reason it's there is because either someone's using a blocker, so it's not passing information through, or just Google doesn't have enough touch points to determine that. So be wary of omitting unknown or bidding down on it unless it's absolutely not performing. Device is starting to blur more and more together. Most of us do our shopping or our searching on our mobile devices. So keep an eye on it though, because if you have a more general product and it's going to a large page that's not mobile friendly, absolutely start bidding down there. Look at affinity and in-market audiences. If you don't know where to start with those, go into Google Analytics. They're there. You may find that there's an audience that you wouldn't necessarily think is going to be interested in your product. You might see a food and wine audience for sneakers. You might see frequent travelers or financiers on your what's the one I was thinking of the other day, on your miniature train ads. You never know what they're going to do, but look in Google Analytics. It's unfiltered. It's going to show you the most relevant and clear data. Use that and apply it over. Your first party data, you can use emails. You can pass things over from Google Analytics. Emails are incredibly valuable. Doesn't matter if you're e-com or not. We were talking about this yesterday. We applied some email targets to a campaign for LinkedIn because it's B2B. But for some reason we overlooked it on Google Ads. It's there. There's no reason we shouldn't use it. And with Google Ads, they create a lookalike audience for you once it matches. So there's no reason you can't be adding audiences in there and letting Google do its thing. Smart retargeting. Don't just retarget everyone. Use Google Display, but if they've been to a specific page on the site, what's stopping you from bringing them back? If it's, this is a question Kyle asked me earlier, what if it's after holiday? What should we be doing? What if it's a slower month? Build your remarketing list out now, target specific pages, and when you're clearancing out all your holiday stuff in January and February, hit them with ads. Let them know to come back and save 30% or shop today and get free shipping. Talked about lookalikes a bit. Take your first party data, let Google, let Facebook do its magic and create an audience that's similar to it. And then your custom audiences. Google Display allows you to combine first party and third party data. So you could take your first party lookalike audience, but they're sports aficionados and you're trying to sell Cubs gear, layer that in, target them a little bit stronger. And then use and statements. So been to the site and sports aficionado, or been to the clearance page and is a parent. Layer those things in to give you a more qualified audience to target as well as bid up and down on.
And when that stuff works, it's powerful. And think about even promoting some of your retargeting list before the holiday. so that people know that you're going to have an after holiday sale and that they're extra special and they want to come back because they might be undecided on purchasing something, or they might have missed a delivery window because you're publishing that. So think about actually running some of those ads even before the holiday hits.
Thank you. So lookalikes, or similar audiences as Google calls them, you can create audience based on site visitors, app users, YouTube users, customer lists, so on and so forth. These are created from remarketing lists or customer match lists with at least 1,000 cookies or enough similarity. So if your email list only has 500 people, unfortunately, it's not going to work. But Google is doing this. It's looking at those multiple touch points and it's saying like, hey, this person's been to your site. They touch all these other bases. Let's get them into a lookalike audience, or let's build out affinities based on this. The only cost to creating this is time. There's no reason you can't take half an hour, create a few audiences before holiday starts, see how they perform, look at them in observation mode, and bid up or down based on what you're needing. The other thing, get them built before you need them. There is nothing worse than your boss coming to you and saying, hey, we're doing a sale right now. We want to promote it to anyone who's been to the site before. And that audience isn't there. Build them out, have them at the ready.
Yeah. Kind of like your duplicates there in the image. Build them out, have them at the ready. In case you need somebody to do your homework, go to school. That's one of my, I'm sorry, I just have to say that's one of my favorite Calvin and Hobbes images of all time. Hi, we're numbers 2 through 6.
I could go down a rabbit hole about Calvin and Hobbes, clearly from all my images here.
Oh, absolutely. You, Kyle, and I mean, Kyle has a Calvin tattoo on one arm and a Hobbes on the other. So we're in this together.
Yeah. And I did not know that when I was putting this together. So custom audiences. These allow you to reach your ideal audience by entering relevant keywords, URLs, and apps. You can use your competitor URLs. You can dial these in by intent, purchase, app usage. So on the slide, we built out competitor site browsers. We looked at websites similar to a current client. And then we layered this in, and it was telling us weekly impressions could be up to 500 million. We have some age information that displayed for us. This is perfectly dialed in with what the customer data looks like. So we knew that this would be a good audience. One thing you can do is you can also segment. So that little arrow there shows us people who have searched for or share an interest, people who have certain apps. So let's play pretend and say you're an e-commerce seller. You know your competitor has an app. Click on that use types of apps, search for it. Even if it's not your biggest competitor, but you see a lot of similarities, whether it's a coupon guide, whether it's an app like Amazon Shopping, anything like that, layer that in because it's going to give you a more targeted audience. And with this, you should know who your customers are. What sites are they going to? I'm going to go back to sports. So if you're Chicago based, look at the Cubs, look at the Bulls, look at White Sox, build out those audiences because you can assume that people who are Chicago based and are into sports are going to visit sites like that as well. You can throw in keywords as well. So if it's hockey, build out terms like hockey sticks, hockey skates, blah, blah, blah. And there's no reason that you can't use this to build a custom audience to reach users who aren't necessarily always coming to your site. And with these audiences, you can bid up or down on them. So Google does allow us to layer audiences across, or multiple audiences across one campaign. So you don't have to do lookalike plus in-market shoppers plus food and wine plus sports aficionados. You don't have to do that anymore. They're not separate campaigns. Toss them all in there. Look at how they're performing and bid up or down. So in this case, we see one audience has a stronger click-through rate, but it has a slightly higher cost per click. Now, to me, that click-through rate trumps the cost per click. So I'm going to bid up on it. So I can increase my bid by 25%, pay a little bit more to get a more qualified audience. On the flip side, if it's performing like hot garbage, I can bid down on it so that audience is not working. You can do this with all audiences. So if it's a first purchase, get 50% off, you should have a pixel in place that says they've been to the thank you page or they're in our customer database. Bid down on them. So they're not seeing the same ad. So they're not expecting to get free shipping or whatever the case is that you're trying to use to entice people to buy for the first time.
Curtis, what
Yes.
can I expect Google to do with my audiences that are performing like hot garbage?
Nothing. They don't know any better. So you have to tell them, don't bid up or down on this. It's okay. That's not 100% true. If you're bidding to a ROAS goal or you have a CPA goal and you have multiple audiences built out, it will favor what's working better. They're not just going to spend money on something that's not working towards a goal, but they're still a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for here? They're still a little bit data agnostic. They see that audience is there, but they're still trying to give it its fair shake. But if you say like bid down on this or omit this, it's going to give the algorithm a little bit more to do and a little bit stronger performance.
Cool.
All right, so we're going to talk about testing some new ad formats you might not be familiar with. A lot of these are very easy to do. The first one, Google Display Network. They're easier to use than ever. When I started at BFO, anytime we wanted to run display, every client would cringe because they had to give us 10 different size banners. You had to explain to them the difference between a 300 by 250 and a 200 by 250, even though they look just the same, Curtis. Yes, they do, but they function differently. You don't need to do that anymore. We need 2 images, we need 2 logos, and that's it. We write the copy, we push your ads out. So these are the ads we actually ran for today's webinar. You can see here multiple sizes. There's a sign up button. Google created that on their own. I always want to caveat this by saying, if you have strong brand guidelines and you want that button to be orange, you cannot do that, unfortunately. Google dynamically changes all these. They're highly targetable, so you can use your in-market and affinity audiences, you can retarget, you can use your custom audiences. And when you build this out and say you have to go to your brand manager or your boss and say, it's this new thing, but we don't know how everything's going to look. And they say, well, I'm not sure about that. Should we really do it? Google does allow you to look at a mock-up. So if we can go to Google Properties over here, go to desktop. So here's what our ad would look like in Gmail. And if it's an open ad, we can actually see, okay, this is what it's going to look like. Go over to website and apps. It's going to populate some different sizes. You can look at your text ads. You can look at your native ads. So it's still not everything, but you can at least take a look and say, hey, this is how this looks to everyone else. This is, what we want to promote. It's a lot easier to send this link out, show them what it's going to look like versus, okay, let's go through every single variant. Super easy to use. No reason you shouldn't try doing it. Next one, similar to Google Display, Google Discovery. One of our clients, we were talking to them about this the other day. They summed it up best. This is more geared towards mobile. It really is. So it's part of Google's Display Network. It's through Google Discover. If you have an Android phone, unfortunately, iPhone doesn't show this. You click that little Google app. As you're scrolling through and you're seeing news articles and things of your interest, you'll see these things that say ads. They are sponsored posts. So you can layer the same audiences in them. You can do single image or carousel. So the one on the right is a carousel. That one was retargeting. I know that because I looked at those guitars not too long ago. So it's promoting similar pages or, the products I've seen before. Another cool feature of this, which unfortunately I couldn't get a sample ad. If you have an app, you can promote the app with an image. And then when you click on it, it actually loads out to the App Store to make it so much easier for you to download the app. Super easy to do. These will show on YouTube beneath the ad when you're looking on mobile, and then obviously you'll get those Gmail ads as well. Google Shopping. A lot of you have product feeds but don't do this. There's no reason you shouldn't do it. There are images and prices on the SERP. They break through the noise of text ads. Recently, Google moved Smart Shopping over to what's called Performance Max. So these will serve your ads in search, discovery, and YouTube as well. The copy is auto-generated, so you don't have to spend time writing ads for every single product in your category. And then you can bid based on goals, so conversion, CPA, and ROI. That does take some time on the ROI side. We do work with some clients who will say like, hey, we want to bid X amount for this one because it's a stronger ROI, but the ones that aren't so hot, we don't want to bid so much or give as much budget to. So with that, you'll have to put labels into your feed so we can adjust them, and then it will literally be run campaigns in parallel. But then we'll know that this one is the 400 ROI, whereas this one is the 1200 ROI. Super easy to do. No reason you shouldn't do these. And as you can see, the mobile version, I did a search for Calvin and Hobbes books. It's serving above Amazon. So that should show you that there is room for you, even if you don't have the largest budget to compete with the big names. Facebook and Instagram ads. Target users who are browsing their feed. We're all, not all of us, but a lot of us, you doom scroll on Facebook. You go through, you see what's going on, you do it on Instagram. Why not reach people who are actively browsing? Facebook will even do right rail ads on desktop, which makes it a lot easier to do because you look to the right, you see that it's standing out. It's not the same as a post from Susie letting you know that her dog is now doing yoga or whatever the case is. So target users who are browsing their feed, use your first party data, use your lookalike audience. The Facebook audiences are not as big as they used to be, but you still should take the opportunity to build these out. You can do lookalikes, you can do interest in groups, so those are going away. They have multiple ad formats. You can bid based on your goal if you want engagement, purchases, or site traffic. And then with this, I'm going to call out Corduroy's beanbag beds as one of the best ads I've seen in a while because they call out its limited time offer. You get 20% off plus free shipping. They've got their reviews in it. So they're basically using their Facebook version of extension. They have a call to action button. It's a great ad. It's super easy to understand why I should buy this. All the call to actions, all the value is added right there in it. I think it even says it's washable. No, it's this beanbag turns into a bed. Super great use. And then Positive Grid, that's an Instagram ad. They are targeting me because I play guitar poorly, not as good as Kyle, I should call out, but they're targeting me with ads that are based on my browsing history, based on things I'm interested in. So you can layer those in too. So affinities in market, it's all there on the Facebook side.
Curtis, when you're talking about layering in and targeting, when I think about lists like this, how do you propose that people go after this? Do they try one thing at a time? Do they turn them all on and hope for the best? How do you manage what you're changing and what you're trying against sort of time and or opportunity?
That's a great question. And I don't know if you intentionally segued that into the next slide, but that's what it is. It's start with your lookalike audience in Facebook. It's based on your customer list, your site visitors, your product catalog. Start with this on Facebook. I don't care if you're Fender guitars. Don't just target people who like music. No, go after that lookalike audience because it's going to be the most qualified audience for you. It doesn't matter if you're higher ed, it doesn't matter if you're e-commerce, it doesn't matter if you're selling underwater basket weaving kits. Go with your first party data because it's the strongest performer, because all of these little touch points and all the following that the pixels do of us, they are creating profiles and they're finding people who are similar to us to support products. These typically outperform all other audiences, and I'm calling out, they never disappear overnight. You may have heard me use this example before. We had a retargeting list for a client. I think there were 14,000 people in it. iOS 14 happened. The next morning, it wouldn't serve because the audience was gone. The client says, I want my audience back. And I say, it's gone. Facebook deleted it. It's gone. It's nothing we did. It's nothing you did. It's gone. It doesn't exist. But that lookalike will always be there because it's based on your first party data. They use multiple touch points to find similar audiences. You may target irrelevant users. So put your guardrails in place. So if your audience is based on musical instruments, but you're trying to sell $1,200 guitars, target people on the lower end of the age bracket who probably don't have $1,200, but their parents might, so target them. Little things like that. And always, if you're a big brand, target your current or exclude your current employees, exclude anything internal focused because you're just going to waste impressions there. This is how you build lookalike audiences in Facebook. It's super easy. You can build it based on your sources. So you've got a Shopify product catalog or your Magento list. You can build a lookalike based off your site visitors. But the one on the right is going to be the most qualified audience. So you take your site visitor list or your emails, and then right there where it says 1%, start there. Even if your ROI is amazing, I'd be hard pressed to move above that unless your focus is something like awareness. I say this because in James, who's on our team, I've heard him say this to clients more often than not. Well, we can scale it up, but we're just going to see our ROI go down because we're going to be paying more to target the same people over and over. It's great for awareness, but for sales, for anything with ROI focused or measured, I would definitely say keep it closer to that 1%. All right. I intentionally put this one towards the end. Ensure tracking accuracy. Look at all your sources, your Google Analytics, your CRM. If you have point of sale integrations, look at those. Use multiple machines, use multiple browsers. This doesn't mean our one developer is just going to use his laptop and he opened up in Chrome and Safari. No, have him walk over to someone else and use their machine and make sure the same things are fired. Know your averages per platform. So Google Ads, Facebook, whatever sources you're using, Google Analytics. Do the math and know the averages and then document it, because there's nothing worse than spending all this time doing audits and writing it down on a notebook and not being able to find it later. We've had clients before where their backend will say they're getting 65 sales a day, Google will say they're getting 55, and then Facebook will say 20. Look at it, figure out the differences, know those variables, know the averages. So at the end of holiday shopping, you have an accurate picture of what it looked like. So you're not just going, well, you know, Google Analytics said we made $2 million and Facebook's over here going, no, you didn't. No, know your averages, know how they stack up. Talking about ads, get them in early. It can take up to 5 business days to get your ads approved. So
5 excruciating long business days.
Yes, thank you. Finalize your promotions and ad copy ASAP. This is a call out from Steve. Steve's heard me say this a lot over the past 6 months to some certain clients. And I completely forgot about it. So thank you, Steve, for catching this. If you're swapping your offers, make sure you keep your evergreen ads running. What are evergreen ads? We call them evergreen. We call them always on. They're the non-promotion ads. They're the ones that you always want to be there. And the reason you want to keep them running is, let's play pretend. I have a 20% promo today, and tomorrow I'm going to kick on the $20 off every purchase over 100. They're the same promo. They really are. But if you pause one and turn the other on, it's going to take Google some time to approve that. You may go dark. Evergreen always being there, you're not going to miss anything. You might miss serving a promo, but you won't miss serving an ad. So keep those evergreens in place.
I wonder how many goldfish toys I can buy at 20% off.
Yes. Get your images and creative approved ASAP. If you have a brand manager, if you have a creative agency, start talking to them now, start planning and plotting, get it ready to go. The image is more important than the copy on it. You can Google, the Facebook 20% rule, Google's rules for sizes, things like that. But the image is definitely more important than the copy. So always consider that. You want 2 to 3 ads per ad group, A/B test them. Even with responsive search ads, there's no reason to not run 2. It's a lot easier to do than it's ever been. If you can create 10 plus headlines, do it. If you can create 8 unique descriptions because you're comparing or you're doing an A/B test, do it. Get them in place, test them out. Update your page URL before you submit the ad in the UI. And that's repeated for a reason. Real quick story, peak season for a client. They knew that there would be a page URL update. They didn't tell us. I was dropping my kids off at school. My phone had about 25 missed calls and text messages. I finally call them back. I say, hey, what's going on? They said, everything is disapproved. And I said, what do you mean everything? And they said, everything is disapproved because they pushed a site update live. We didn't pause our ads. It disapproved everything. And then this goes into the next one. If your ads are disapproved, submit a request for Google to review via Google support. If they're not approved, you have to wait 48 hours. You have to. If you do it again, it starts the 48 hours over. And that's what happened to this client, was they were completely in the dark for, I think, about 72 hours. Nothing we could do, nothing their Google rep could do. I believe it was escalated. Nothing could happen. And it was because they didn't wait to pause the ads. I understand it was overnight, but they could have called us and said, hey, end of day, just pause everything. In the morning, we hit go and we would have been fine, but that wasn't the case. So get them in early, trust the data, trust your team when they say, no, we need extra time to get it done. Fast isn't always good. So be patient, get them in on time.
For those of you wondering, it's 10 minutes till the hour. We've only got a few slides left and we'll get into a little bit of Q&A. We should have you be well on your way to your next meeting or event in time.
Thank you, Steve. So second to last slide here. Ensure tracking accuracy, work with your teams, work with the data, make sure it's there, make sure you know your averages, your thresholds. It's key. Know your timeline and calendar, set reminders on your calendar, whether it's update copy, whether it's take ads down, which is kind of the same thing, whether it's new promotion, build audiences, double check to make sure your audiences are still there. These are things you can easily set on your calendar. Audit and update your site and your landing pages, those gift guide pages and categories, make sure they're updated. Look at your customer insights. Take them, build audiences in observation mode. Really easy to do in Google. You just layer them in, you see how they perform, you bid up or down. Audit and update your ad copy, your ad formats, and your ad extensions. This one can be a team effort. Even if you have a large paid media team, pull people over and say, hey, I know you don't work on this account. Will you look at this ad copy? Will you look at this landing page and let me know what you can come up with? If you have content writers or SEO folks, let them look at the ads. They might see it from a different perspective. You might be too close to it. They might catch something on the site that makes you question, like, hey, should we be doing this? Or they might find new offers that you didn't even know are there that you can go to the client to and say, hey, should we be doing this? Or can we at least test this? Assess your audiences and bid up or down. Kind of similar to observation mode, but just making sure that that hot garbage audience isn't eating up your budget. Just bid down on it. And then again, double check your tracking. Don't just assume it's working. You should really be checking it daily. Maybe not first thing in the morning, but if you know you're getting about 60 sales a day, the next day, just jump in, check the day before. 55 is okay. 45 is okay. 15, something's off. Then go into your sources and find out, who's pushing traffic, what's not selling. The other thing you can do, Google makes it really easy. You can set up alerts. So we had a client who was notorious for breaking their own tracking. So what we did was we knew the majority of their sales came from their brand campaign. We set a rule that said, if we haven't seen at least 10 conversions by 1 o'clock in the brand campaign, send us an email. It is that simple.
Yeah.
That is it. Any questions?
Kyle, what do you got? Show us the way. Hey, you're in my basement.
Yeah, the basement looks great from your end too, Steve. It's weird not seeing you right behind me. But yeah, we've got a couple questions here. Thank you for everyone for attending. And thank you, Curtis and Steve, for all of this great information. So I'm going to jump in here. The first question we have is, should I focus all of my paid efforts on 1 or 2 platforms, or should I spread it out across over as many as possible?
How much money do you have?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Depends on your budget. Google would probably not be happy that I'm saying this. If you have a smaller budget, there's no reason you can't start with that lookalike in Facebook. No offense, a $500 budget trying to sell Levi's isn't going to do anything on Google. Kohl's is going to eat you up in a day and you're not going to see anything. But on Facebook, while it is more passive advertising, you're more likely to get a qualified audience from it because they're going to look at that $500 or budget and treat it a little bit more kindly than being so demand focused of like, they search for it, serve them an ad. They search for it, serve them an ad.
And by Facebook, also think about Instagram. It's
Yes.
You can play the same audiences stuff. We use the words interchangeably, but always look at Instagram because of the instant gratification and people clicking through over there.
Yes. And to add on what Steve said, don't create separate budgets. let them run together, see how they perform, and then determine, do we need a separate Instagram strategy than a Facebook strategy?
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. All right, so this is an interesting one. If I'm still shaky on my demographics, is there anything I can do ahead of the holiday to tighten that up?
Go into Google Analytics, look at what's working. And if you don't know what's working, if you're not seeing that conversion data in there,
Mhm.
build them out in observation mode. Just find out who's engaging with you. Or even go in and like look at things like bounce rate. So let's play pretend you're selling sneakers, but those goldfish parents really aren't buying from you. Bid that audience down. There's no reason they're not buying, or they're bouncing off the page too quick. Do that. But this kind of goes back to, are you sending them to the right page? So that's when you need to think about tuning up your landing pages and things like that. So they're all interchangeable, trust me.
Awesome. And then
another
for the
option,
sorry,
another option in this regard, if you've got some of that data and you're not sure who and what, knock on the door of somebody who can get you some of that information. You can augment and complement that information. Talk to your agency friends or folks, go to Zoom Info, take a look at the data there. You can plug some stuff in to fill out your demographic profile, then go back and use in your audiences.
Yes. One thing I'll add to that, and really doesn't apply to e-commerce too much. There's a LinkedIn audience pixel that you can install on your site, even if you're not running LinkedIn ads, and then go back into it and find out audience data and performance. It's free. It's easy to use. Twitter's got one too. Even if you're not too active on Twitter, you can place them so they'll start looking at the propensities and things like that of people from their platforms on your site to better educate you and better build out audiences.
Yeah, there's some great resources. And then for the purpose of this webinar and the timing, knowing that some people may not have their demographics completely tightened up, is this something that there's still runway to lock in ahead of holiday?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't remember the date that I saw. It definitely said shopping is starting as early as October. But get it in place before your peak traffic starts. You might not be big on Black Friday. You might not do a Black Friday sale, but you're going to start pushing everything the weekend after or December 1st. Just get it in place, get everything in observation mode ahead of time, so then you can start bidding up and down. You don't have to be bidding up and down until the volume is there for you, but it better educates you and it makes it easier for your marketing team.
Yeah, I love that distinction too of your peak part of the season too, right? That may be different from brand to brand, industry to industry. So I think, that's a great call to look at, metrics from previous years, look at when traffic was coming in, if there were any promotions or anything like that that were affiliated with it, or if it was just direct and organic. So yeah, a really great build there too.
Yeah, and don't feel like you have to be active on Black Friday. If you can't compete, there's nothing wrong with that. Do a small Facebook push, but don't feel
your email
like
list.
your email list. You don't have to be active on paid search campaigns for the 20 flat screens that you're trying to sell, because Best Buy and Walmart already won. So there's no point. Don't waste your budget.
Yep. Yeah. Interesting anecdote that I have too is that I worked in-house for a brand for a while that was a large Q4 brand, and actually a portion of the products sold from that brand were sold in a big box store. And we learned very quickly not even to try to compete or bid against in the holiday, because we were just losing money and not getting impressions.
Thank you for that, Kyle. So let's play pretend and say you're an alternative milk, and Whole Foods, Walmart, and Meijer, if you're from the Midwest, are all stocking you, and they're running a promo right now. No, bid down, or just go dark on those terms, because you're getting the sale no matter what.
Yep.
So there's no reason for you to try and compete with your resellers. And that kind of goes with your marketing calendar. If Walmart is selling your product and they're running 20% off or BOGO, and it's not BOGO on your site, just back off. Don't do it.
You're going to lose.
Yep. And another thing to add there too is make sure that leadership is aware of all of this too, right? So when they come knocking and asking, why aren't we doing paid support around this product? You can say, well, look at the competition, right?
Yep.
Not it.
There's also an ad extension in Google where if they're adamant that you need to be active on it, and it's in place at local stores, you can actually layer those in. You literally go in and select the store. So that way they see your brand name available at Walmart, Whole Foods, blah, blah, blah. Makes it a lot easier. And you can tell your boss, no, we are doing it, but we're pushing them into the store so they make the purchase there.
And you're going to get a super cheap brand ad, and you're going to refer people over so they end up selling extra product for cheap.
Yep. And you get to rub shoulders with your distributor too, right? If it's Target, right, you can be affiliated with stores and places that people are familiar with, which I think adds to brand value.
Yep, you can feel good about it.
All right, so we talked a lot about testing, and we're getting close here, so there's only a couple more. We talked a lot about testing ads. So how many variations of an ad is too many when it comes to testing?
Short answer is it depends. For responsive search ads, you can run one, that's fine, but it's not really going to be that evergreen ad. So I'd say minimum 2. When they're more image focused, 3 to 5 is ideal, because we have banner blindness. You know, if I'm running this same image of Calvin 5 times with different text, the user doesn't see the text. They see the image of Calvin and they block it out. So we always say with clients, like, go with different themes. So if it's image, it's not just the blue call to action. It's, you know, the man and the woman versus the kid, or it's Santa Claus versus goldfish toys. God, I'm never gonna live that one down. But just use multiple variants.
I'm just going to say I cheated during the webinar and looked up, and goldfish actually do play. There's not necessarily goldfish toys, but they say you buy tunnels and rocks and other little fish toys to go in the tank, and goldfish will play.
You can train them. Anything is possible.
Yeah. Minimum 2 ads. If they're text, if they're image focused, go 3 to 5. But if you're selling 30 different products, build out a couple of variants. If it's something as simple as like an all black men's Nike Air Force One, straight ahead, to the side, that's it. You don't need.
Also know when you should turn some of these ads off. So let's say you do want to test 10 variations, right? Well, let's launch 3 and let's decide what sort of performance or how many days we're going to let go by before we kill one. And then we're going to add another third one, and we're going to let so much time go by, and we're going to kill another one. So this is the way you sort of keep testing it. And you may find out that one of them just crushes it, but then also make your winners compete as well. So you can find out maybe it was just an anomaly during that week that one of those ads ran that for whatever reason it performed better, but you can level the playing field a bit, and you can then continue testing to find out where your performance truly lies.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, Steve, because I know, like, just by the nature of testing, right, the implication should be that changes are going to be made, right? There will be adjustments if you are testing. Great. Okay, we actually covered when holiday advertising and promos should be turned off. So thank you very much for that, Curtis. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, we did not. Did we?
No, we didn't.
Also overtime, Kyle, and we should probably let people get on with their afternoons.
Yep. All right, so can we go on to the next slide then?
That's it.
We'll follow up with
sorry,
that.
no, it's not.
Yep. So thank you all for attending today. If you have any other follow-up questions or you're interested to know more, please reach out to us. But I wanted to make everyone aware that our next webinar is actually a partnered webinar with the American Marketing Association Chicago chapter. It's going to be, actually that update did not happen live. It's October 18th at noon. And we will be discussing our SEO strategy. So what we did was we actually helped the American Marketing Association of Chicago with some of their SEO work on their website. And we'll be recapping what we did and going over all of that. So the link is below. I'm going to include all of this information in a follow-up email to everyone who registered and attended. So thank you all so much, and really appreciate you coming out today.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.